What's going on YouTube? So within luxury vehicles, probably the most hotly contested segment is in compact crossovers, since that has become the go-to body style for many Americans. Now within that segment, there are two German products that have been battling it out for sales supremacy for years, the Audi Q5 and the redesigned Mercedes GLC. So which one of these two is offering the best mixture of design, luxury, and features to spoil you? Let's go ahead and find out. So like always, let's quickly mention the pricing to get things established here. Now, as typical for German vehicles, there is quite a price range that these two can fit into. But for today, we chose models that best reflect what the average consumer wants. Starting with the Audi, we have the Q5 45 Premium Plus package, and then a few additional upscale options added to that. After destination, we're setting at a total of $57,245. Moving to the Mercedes, the way it packages options means it ends up being a bit pricier for an equal spec GLC 300. Our tester comes in a touch over $59,000 after destination is factored in. Now this is going to be an objective comparison. We have done our best to weigh the points awarded throughout in major and minor categories, but at the end of the comparison, we will sum up with our thoughts and revisit the small price difference for a value assessment. With that being said, let's get into this comparison. So the first place to start is with the exteriors, where both have classy looking designs with a touch of spice as equipped. The GLC is all new this year, but it doesn't look radically different from the outgoing model. We have the AMG Night Package, which adds the more aggressive lower fascia and black elements. The Q5 was refreshed a couple years ago, and just like with the GLC, we have the aggressive S-line fascia and blacked out elements courtesy of the black optic package. We also have the expected LED headlights on both models, although neither have the fancier arrangements with animations and projection capabilities as equipped. The Mercedes has reflector low and high beams, while the Q5's standard option includes projector low beams. Continuing to the side, you'll find 20-inch contrast alloys on the Q5 and 19s on the GLC. And then around back, we have similar looks and the same features, besides for the Q5 having dynamic turn signals and the GLC having exposed exhaust tips. Now checking out some of the individual features, both of their mirrors have heating, power folding, auto dimming, and blind spot monitoring with rear cross traffic alert. But as far as the other safety systems, both models have all the standard and optional active safety features. That includes forward emergency braking, adaptive cruise control with traffic jam assist, lane keeping assist, and auto high beam headlights as equipped. Last, here on the outside, I do want to mention that the Q5 can handle about 23% more weight when towing properly equipped. But you've heard it said it's what on the inside really counts. So let's go ahead, hop inside the cabins before we take them out on a drive later on. As we walk up to the two crossovers, please consider subscribing to help us continue making side-by-side comparisons like these. As far as the keys, we have metal accented fobs with smart entry. Remote start is available in the Mercedes Me app with active subscription. But once you open up the doors, any little bit of similarities that the exteriors had go away completely, besides for the fact that they're both black and they have open pore wood trim. Now starting with the seats themselves, the GLC has significantly more power adjustability at 14 ways versus 8, since it even has things like power headrest adjustment. Both have memory functions and heating, but the Audi will come with real leather instead of leatherette, although you'd be hard pressed to be able to tell the difference. Once inside the cabins, we can check out the important issue of overall material quality. The Q5 continues to use soft touch plastic, open pore wood, piano black, and some leatherette trim on the places that you touch. But the next gen GLC elevates its materials over the Audi, with leatherette covering the entire door trim, full upper dash, real metal vents, and then acres of beautiful open pore wood. Just be careful since both models use piano black for the center console finish. Taking a look at the gauges, both have giant 12.3-inch reconfigurable ones with amazing resolution. Additionally, head-up displays are available as options. Coming back to the steering wheels, the Audi has a traditional design, while the Mercedes has a radical AMG designed one. That point aside though, both are heated and power adjusting. Well, the Audi is supposed to have that feature, but it was deleted from this specific model due to the chip shortage. Now moving on to interior storage, really neither of them have a great deal of it, but especially so in the Q5. The GLC center console is larger, and while the Audi has several random small slots, the GLC has one large bin with reconfigurable cup holders. Both models have electronic shifters, just in different locations, and when in reverse, both also have 360-degree camera systems. However, the new GLC has the very advanced 3D view from the S-Class. And now that brings us to the volume knobs, or slider. Both have the optional upgraded systems, so let's go ahead and give them a sample. Both sound quite nice, and neither has a significant advantage. Alright, so we can't avoid it anymore. The elephant in the cabin of the Mercedes is the large display. Part of it, in the lower section, is the climate controls, which are dual zone automatic in the GLC. In the Q5, you'll have 3 zones, and the physical controls are easier to use while driving, not to mention very satisfying to touch. Now, as far as the actual infotainment systems, they are very different from the orientations to the software. The screen sizes are 11.9 inches versus 10.1 inches, and neither have the control knobs on the dash like they used to. Both have built-in navigation, as well as wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Finally, to wrap up the interiors, both have auto-dimming mirrors and panoramic sunroofs. Now heading around to the rear, this is perhaps as important as the front, since these are often used as small family vehicles. Dimensionally speaking, they are nearly identical to each other. As far as the features back here, both have rear air vents, and I already mentioned that the Q5 has its own dedicated rear climate zone. What's odd though is that this spec of the GLC doesn't have any USB ports for charging. Moving out back, both have hands-free power tailgates, and once they open up, you'll find similar amounts of space. For whatever reason, the Q5 has a pretty significant advantage with the rear seats upright, but once they are folded, we don't have the full measure for the Mercedes, since it just now came out and we're one of the first to sample it in the US. Both have spare tires and 40-20-40 split folding seats that can be easily folded from the cargo area with the included handles. But as you can see, it's still a very tight race. So now let's take them out for a spin and see who's going to come out on top. So heading out onto the road with these two crossovers, they try to match each other tit for tat, which is typical for German automakers, not allowing the other to get a significant advantage. As such, both are using 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engines with 48-volt mild hybrid systems. The end result is almost identical horsepower figures, although the GLC boosted its torque figure this year for an 8% advantage. But the Audi is still faster to 60 miles per hour by about a half second.
Nice.
There's a nice quick acceleration in this 2023 Audi Q5. So one of the things that's always been a consistent, strong area of this Q5 throughout this generation has always been the 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder. That continues on this year. 261 horsepower, 273 pound-feet of torque.
Yeah.
And when you put your foot down, it really goes. You can also hear pretty pronounced the turbo sound, which is interesting as well. Alright,
Nice.
There's an acceleration up to 60 miles per hour. So as we talked about with the spec dump, the overall powertrain situation for the GLC 300 is not radically different than before, but we do have a new mild hybrid setup, and we have 255 horsepower, 295 pound-feet of torque. So importantly, we do have more torque than last year, even though the overall power figure is about the same as it was before.
And the power delivery is just so smooth, so refined. They really have knocked down these 2-liter turbo fours to just make them so good.
As far as the rest of the powertrains, the Q5 has a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission, compared to the conventional 9-speed automatic in the GLC. While both are good transmissions, the smoother 9-speed in the Mercedes feels like a better match for this segment. Now, it is worth noting the other aspects of the powertrain stay the same no matter which engine you choose. So it's going to be a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission. Just like we said in the past, nice and smooth. Audi's done a really good job with this. So in your day-to-day and average driving, it remains good and smooth, doesn't get janky in the city or anything like that, but it's really fast to shift when you drive more aggressively, of course.
Right.
And then you have the signature Quattro all-wheel drive system for both of those models as well. Let's talk a little bit about the transmission as well. So we've got a 9-speed automatic transmission going through the gears, very nice and smooth, of course, as you'd expect. If I put my foot down, we get more power delivered pretty much immediately. Now let's talk about ride and handling. Both are luxury focused, so as such, they have excellent ride qualities that dampen out all but the largest imperfections. Despite the luxury focus, they have some German athleticism baked in, with decent body control and light but accurate steering. Yeah, and kind of going around that corner just reminds me to point out one element, it's important to note, is the emphasis of the Q5 is family comfort. Even though this is a German vehicle, it has, don't get me wrong, it has nice handling and everything. It's just that the emphasis is for sure on that comfortable aspect. It's not, until you get to the SQ5, that's not going to excite you behind the wheel. The steering is light but accurate. So just keep that in mind. If you really want like German athleticism, then make sure to check out the SQ5, because that's definitely going to be a more exciting product behind the wheel. But
now, in terms of your ride quality, let's go ahead and knock that out while we're cruising down the highway here. The ride quality is very good. Now, we do have the AMG line, which of course is going to add a little bit more sporty elements to the GLC, but the GLC is definitely more comfort-oriented than anything else. This is, not a sports car. If you want something that's a lot sportier, go for the 43 or the 63 or the 63S, whenever those cars come out. Mercedes makes that for you. The GLC 300 is really about comfort, and you can totally feel that. When you hit a bump, it soaks it up really well. The seats are comfortable. I have no complaints when it comes to the ride quality, and it seems very much on par, if not a little bit better than most in the entire segment.
Sound insulation is very important for luxury vehicles, and they are both similarly hushed at 55 miles per hour on the highway.
Yep. Let's go ahead and get our sound level reading since we're going 55 miles an hour. .4 decibels, guys. That's super solid. We're settling in at 55.8 decibels, which is certainly a good sound level rating for a luxury vehicle. In terms of how that compares to the competition, that actually places it on the quieter end of the segment for sure.
And lastly, for fuel economy, the two similar powertrain setups make very similar fuel economy ratings, 25 and 26 miles per gallon, respectively. Just be aware, if you want additional efficiency, the Q5 does offer a plug-in hybrid variant. As promised, let's revisit the price difference of $1,775. Our scale indicates that we should award 1 point to the Q5 to represent that. But as always, I'll remind you that if money doesn't matter as much to you, then feel free to disregard that part. So there we have it. That is the end of the comparison. As you can tell by the points total, it's a very low scoring comparison. You know what that means? That means that they're very similar products. I think that's the big takeaway here to conclude, is that these two are very similar to each other. German products typically, they kind of have you could call it an obsession with each other, where they try to match each other tit for tat. And
basically they're like, okay, this one did this, I'm gonna do the exact same things. But as far as like why you'd pick a Q5 over a GLC, if the things that matter most to you would be the tow rating, I doubt most in this segment really care that much about it, but the Q5 does tow more. It also does have a faster 0 to 60, and some of the lighting elements are a little bit more premium in the Q5, especially if you go for the base lighting setup.
Right, and as far as your winner being the GLC, more luxurious cabin materials, more seat adjustments, and also you have that really amazing 360-degree camera system, while the Q5s is a little bit less advanced than that. But let us know which one is your winner down below. Like we said, this really is going to have a lot to do with personal preference, I think, because they're so evenly matched.
Well, guys, that's where we're going to wrap up this face-off comparison between these two very similar German luxury compact SUVs. If you enjoyed watching this video, we would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below if you're not subscribed already, because by doing so, you help us to make more of these comparison videos, as well as our signature full reviews, auto show style videos, all of the good stuff. You help by hitting that subscribe button down below. If you're already a subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support. You make this all possible, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.